Welcome back, Pokemon trainers, to the 2020 Portland Regional Championships. My name is Gabby Snyder, joined here by Len Duell, and we are in the last round of the competition.
We're here. You're winning
We're here. Yeah, sorry. I'm just a little bit distracted because it looks like my best friend Dewey Ha has changed forms a little bit, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah, you know. I grew a little bit taller, but...
That's okay. You know, it's a good change. It's a good change.
Thank you.
All right. So like we said, this is the last round of competition. And as a result, you know, these trainers are really competing to see who's going to make it into the top cut. We are cutting to a field of 8 players, and only the top 16 are walking away with championship points as well, which means even the matches that we're not streaming for this final round are going to be so freaking intense.
Yeah, all these players, if you're X and 1, you're playing to make the cut. If you're X and 2, you're playing to get that top 16 CP.
Yeah, there's
stress
no,
for everybody.
There's no easy wins at this point. You know, I think in other tournaments we like to talk a lot about how, you know, if you get it to a certain number of wins, you can kind of coast for the rest of the day because, you know, okay, I feel pretty comfortable. I'm going to make it into day 2, whatever. But in this case, everything's on the line until the very last minute. And then everything's on the line tomorrow as we're going to be bringing you Top Cut.
Yeah, we should have all 7 matches tomorrow for the top 8.
We will. That's awesome. And when will we be streaming those? Starting at what time, my friend?
I think we'll probably start at 9 o'clock like today.
All right.
We'll be ready to go.
Cool. I will not be on a plane at 9 a.m., so I will be here. In fact, I might be here early if I can wake up on time. But that's enough about me, and that's enough about tomorrow because we have 2 amazing players who are going to be duking it out for their spot in Top Cut. And I believe you've heard a couple of their names before. Gavin Michaels and Karim are going to be facing off here on stream. Both these trainers are currently X and 1, and as a result, they are going to be vying for those championship points. You know, Gavin Michaels, you know, very, very many accomplishments to his name, but one of my favorite accomplishments of his is the fact that he was the Californian regional championship back in the day. Regional champion, excuse me, because he won both NorCal and SoCal. So he was just California.
A very accomplished player and U.S. national champion. Tons of accolades. And here trying to grab one more, move on to the top 8 of this tournament.
You know, maybe expand his dynasty a little bit up the coast from Northern California, whereas Karim Dabliz, who's going to be on the bottom part of your screen, I believe, will be, you know, he made a top cut at one of the NorCal regionals and, you know, is no stranger to these high-stress environments and is running a very interesting team because I believe it looks like I see that Tapu Lele and that Aselgur, the so-called psychic spam, if you will, that has become really popular in the late part of the format. As honestly, out of all the teams that I've seen being played so far, I feel like Psychic Spam is one of the most terrifying teams that you could face off against just because it has, you know, the fast Aselgur, it has usually a fast Scarf Tapu Lele, there's like a Metagross that can get some nice boost from the Psychic terrain if that's what you decide to bring, whereas Gavin is running a team that sort of reminds me of like 2016 back in the day where like Jumpluff would use Sun Boost to deal, you know, get that speed up thanks to its chlorophyll ability and then go for something like a Sleep Powder or a Sun Spore to otherwise sort of throw things around. So in this case, we're going to see Karim lead with a Necrozma, Dawnwing's Necrozma, Smeargle alongside of the Jumpluff and Lunala on Gavin's side of the field.
Yeah, so threatening having the Jumpluff get very fast with its chlorophyll and put out a lot of damage.
A lot of damage.
With that Sleep Powder being an accessory to Groudon to help it get a lot of damage on the field. Here, though, Jumpluff will just protect itself and wait till the next time.
Yeah, and just a correction from before. It does look like that Gavin Michaels is on the bottom part of the screen and Karim is going to be on the top part of your screen. With that, Smeargle going for the follow me. What Smeargle does best, distract things away from its partner. And in this case, isn't going to be moving much since we saw a double protect on Gavin's side of the field. But those Moody boosts, you know, nothing too important for now, but we'll probably start adding up later if the Smeargle's allowed to sit around for so long.
Yeah, and so far it looks like it's going to have a chance to. The Lunala could go after it, but it has to worry about that Dawn Wings Necrozma on the other side. It's a lot to ask to just go after the Smeargle instead, and Jump Bluff not really useful in getting a Pokemon off the field. Now, it can try to disable that Smeargle by putting it to sleep, some other way that lets it sit there, but of course that just means Moody boosts are accumulating and possibly becoming a problem.
Yeah, definitely Jump Bluff does have other options that it can use, even without the boost of speed from Chlorophyll, but I don't know if this is really the setup that you want here. I like how we're seeing the Ultra Necrozma sort of emerge from the field on Karim's side of the field here. And a helping hand from that Smeargle as well. So whatever this Necrozma is going to be dealing damage to, it's going to be a absolutely terrifying Moongeist Beam. If it connects with that Lunala, even with the Shadow Shield up, with the helping hand, that is enough to just knock it out.
Wow, critical
hit as well. Might as well just go for that little bit of overboard there. And Smeargle dodging the Sleep Powder as well from Jump Bluff and getting the evasiveness boost as well. So this is just an amazing start for Karim. He has all the momentum in his favor, and the Smeargle could really just follow me for days at this point.
Yeah, that Smeargle's going to really be a problem now. It's going to continue to follow me. The Ultra Necrozma is there offering a lot of damage. Got that KO without having to burn light that burns the sky.
Yeah.
And so now this Groudon has to be scared sitting there too, right? At least Chlorophyll has been given over to the Jump Bluff. It's going to be the fastest thing on the field, but if all it's doing is getting Sleep Powder's Follow Me into misses, then it doesn't really matter how fast it is.
Yeah, I mean, there is an option here for Gavin to try and use the fact that Groudon does have access to spread moves to try and deal damage and, avoid the whole Follow Me situation. But it's definitely going to take a bunch of damage from this Ultra Necrozma.
Right, you have to not get KO'd by Light That Burns the Sky if you want to get a spread move.
You have to not get KO'd by Light That Burns the Sky. And depending on if it's physical or special as well, that's really going to determine how much damage you can put out in this situation. So Karim just making a very good sort of start to this game. And it looks like Jump Bluff has a little bit of redirection of its own. So we have the Rage Powder and the Follow Me on the field for both these Pokemon. So Smeargle and Jump Bluff are going to be taking these attacks. No Z-move from Karim's side of the field. Photon Geyser will connect with that Jump Bluff. And doesn't do a lot of damage to it, which is honestly kind of cool. I was expecting us to see a Focus Sash reveal here, but in this case, no. Precipice Blade somehow connects with the Smeargle with the evasiveness boost and the Necrozma, does a nice chunk of damage, and if this Groudon is somehow miraculously able to connect another Precipice Blades, it should be able to get a double knockout here. Yeah, that was miraculous, though, I think.
It was.
Just the
Those
fact that it
evasiveness
hit.
boosts are racking up quickly.
Yeah.
Jump Bluff showing that it had one more tool in its belt that helped it not just miss Sleep Powders, gets that Rage Powder, and takes the Photon Geyser really well. Smart of Karim to not just aim that Light That Burns the Sky right into it. Jump Bluff that would have just taken it down to the Focus Sash. But now
assuming that's what it's holding.
Right. Has to be careful to not just give up Necrozma for this Jump Bluff, right? You don't want another turn of Follow Me, Rage Powder, Photon Geyser, Precipice Blades, because that probably just winds up with a Necrozma traded for a Jump Bluff, and that's not a good trade.
No. Wow. Okay. No Rage Powder from that Jump Bluff. No Follow Me from that Smeargle. We saw Sleep Powder connect with the Smeargle and put it to sleep. So whatever Gavin's doing in terms of training his Pokemon is just amazing here. Karim electing to target that Jump Bluff with the Photon that burns the sky, and the Smeargle going to be asleep, and Groudon now free to go for another Precipice Blades. Something finally misses the Smeargle, but still, I'm astonished, honestly, that it took so long, but does also KO that Ultra Necrozma before it can go for the Light That Burns the Sky, which I think is the key point to bring out, because that's a lot of damage that Karim just sort of lost with that KO.
Yeah, Jump Bluff helped pull the focus of that Ultra Necrozma. We saw something earlier today with the Focus Sash Amoonguss that offered something similar, where just forcing the Ultra Necrozma to focus on really not the primary threat. Yeah. Doesn't want to burn the Light That Burns the Sky, but doesn't want to spend all those attacks KOing it either. Ends up trading it just for that supporting redirection Pokemon in a trade that's really not beneficial.
Yeah, you have to wonder what that Smeargle was going for there, because it didn't go for some sort of priority move. So no Helping Hand, no Follow Me, but instead going for something else that presumably would have done damage maybe to one of these Pokemon. Maybe we'll see that revealed in a later turn in the game. I mean, Smeargle does have all of its evasiveness boost to its advantage, but hypothetically, if Gavin is able to successfully target down the Tapu Lele that has been revealed on Karim's side of the field and knock it out before Smeargle is able to wake up, I think he's going to be able to clean up very quickly. Smeargle, not the most offensive Pokemon in the current metagame.
Yeah, so now Tapu Lele has to be the focus of the offense with Ultra Necrozma gone, but it immediately lost its strain. It hit the field right at the same time as Tapu Fini did, and that takes a bunch of the offensive pressure away. And so this Psychic's going to do much less to Groudon.
Very fast, though, so definitely an indication that this is one of those Choice Scarf variant Tapu Leles. And Tapu Fini following up immediately with a Heal Pulse, going faster than the Groudon, able to bring it back up to full health. And Precipice Blades... Again, I don't know what Gavin's doing, but he hit that Smeargle again with +4 evasiveness, gets the double KO on both of Kareem's Pokemon, and this is going to be an easy game 1 for him to clean up. Seriously, though, what are these Pokemon doing? Like, do they have prescription glasses? Like, I want to know.
Yeah, Smeargle really there, not offering much. Even getting the evasiveness boost wasn't helpful to the team. Took the second Sleep Powder, and... Tapu Fini, meanwhile, offered a ton right there. It was all in one turn, but getting the Heal Pulse off, if this was a longer game that was a little bit closer, that extra health in Groudon would be huge. Here, it may still be huge because it will help Gavin's Groudon not get one hit KO'd by the Groudon and Cream side.
Yeah, it is.
And then the terrain gone from Tapu Lele really neutered what that Tapu Lele was trying to do. Again, and if it was a closer game where doing 75% instead of 50% would have made all the difference, Tapu Fini would have really changed the game there. But we see that Tapu Fini did all this help, and it was almost unnecessary because Gavin was so far ahead already.
Yeah, and we're going to see Gavin further protect the Groudon here, as well as Kareem. So just a very good play. I think Gavin recognizing that Kareem's in a really tough spot. He has to try and get enough damage to KO both of these Pokemon, knowing that Tapu Fini is going to be able to Heal Pulse whatever damage is left. And we don't know anything about the Kareem's Groudon. We know that Gavin is at least somewhat physically oriented. So if both these trainers are going to be firing off Precipice Blades at one another, getting this big chip damage down onto the opposing side of the field with something like Nature's Madness or even maybe an Icy Wind from earlier, could have been really key. So I like how Kareem sort of bought his time there with the Protect, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough, and Gavin's able to clean up and win game 1. Also revealing that his Groudon is potentially faster since Icy Wind did not connect with Kareem's Groudon last turn.
Yeah, Groudon is going to be a problem for Kareem. You look at his team and you see no Intimidate, and you see a physical Groudon on the other side. That's a recipe for disaster, right? Yep. We saw that Precipice Blades come out and just one-hit KO Tapu Lele, 2-hit KO Ultra Necrozma. The other Pokemon he didn't bring, Metagross, also not going to want to take a Precipice Blades.
No.
That means I think we probably do need to see a Selgor as just something that can take in a Precipice Blades and not immediately totally regret that decision. And it can also provide some other utility to help deal with the Jumpluff. It can actually get faster than the Jumpluff even in Sun once it has unburdened itself, which can be helpful to something like Final Gambit it away. Acid Spray might offer a decent amount of damage, super effective. That might be enough to get Photon Geyser to KO. And so I think it could really be a helpful pivot, especially since we saw that Smeargle wound up not doing too much. With Precipice Blades being a focus, the Follow Me is less useful. With Lunala an option, the Fake Out is less useful. And with Tapu Fini an option, the Spore is less useful. So if you're taking away all of those support options from the Smeargle, it ends up doing things like it did in that game, which is sit on the field asleep for a few turns and then get KO'd despite all its evasiveness boosts.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that Smeargle, was probably trying to hang in there for a little bit longer with those evasion boosts, but, sometimes it just happens. It's a very tough matchup for Kareem, though, I agree. The Metagross, I mean, not only is there an insanely powerful Groudon on the opposing side of the field, you also have to worry about the Incineroar and the Lunala, and those are just 3 Pokemon that Metagross really doesn't like. Looking at Kareem's team and how it's built, I would expect the Metagross to come in handy more for rain matchups.
I would expect we don't see it in this matchup at all.
No. You leave it on the bench, and maybe you don't lead the Dawnwings Necrozma as well. I loved how much damage it did early on in game 1, but it just, the fact that the Jumpluff was still around just really kind of disrupted it. So maybe Kareem should try and find a way to remove that Jumpluff a little bit quicker, without the Z move, unless you're planning on sacking that Dawnwings Necrozma anyways. But looking at this lead with the Groudon and the Jumpluff and the Dawnwings Necrozma and the Smeargle, we're going to see that Jumpluff immediately get that Chlorophyll boost, which I think is going to help Gavin out so much, because as far as we can tell, Kareem doesn't have a good answer for Rage Powder, Precipice Blades, or really Rage Powder any attack this Groudon chooses to use.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is his strongest pair, right? The Rage Powder redirection with likely a Focus Sash is huge at negating all these massive attacks that come out from Ultra Necrozma and Tapu Lele.
Definitely.
And then the spread moves help steal a Smeargle. We do continue to see Smeargle, so it's out there. Does have a Fake Out target that's useful. probably won't go for much redirection unless it's just trying to get the sleep powder away from Ultra Necrozma, which you have to worry about, right?
You do. I mean, it's not the most accurate move in the world, but if it connects, it really can be devastating. And it looks like we're going to see the Ultra Necrozma immediately burst into that incredible light form to start off this game, as Fake Out from Smeargle will connect with that Jump Love, stopping the Sleep Powder threat for now, but will, give this Groudon an opportunity to attack if it can survive this Earth power from the Necrozma. It is able to hold on pretty comfortably, and Precipice Blades will connect with both Pokemon on Kareem's side of the field, and, like we saw in Game 1, this is going to leave Smeargle down to its Focus Sash even. And this Necrozma is going to be hanging in the yellow. So, these Moody boosts here could be key, but I don't think this is what Kareem was looking for. And it's a very tough spot to start off this game 2 on.
Well, I think he gets one part of it. A couple of really important pieces there, right? He does stop the Rage Powder with the Fake Out. He eliminates the Focus Sash, but he doesn't quite get enough in the turn where there isn't a Rage Powder, right? If that had been something like the Light That Burns the Sky that just KOs Groudon and pulls it off the field, then that's a really massive turn 1. But instead, because it's just the Earth Power, misses the KO, and still allows the Precipice Blades to come out, and we see how much damage it does. And then that was, like you said, a 1-turn delay to these Rage Powders. And so they're going to be back on this turn, and with only single target moves to stop this Groudon, then it's going to continue to get to Precipice Blades, and we've covered that there really isn't a great option to stop those now. And so even though it took 75% of its health on the first turn, this Groudon is still primed and ready to just cleave its way through the rest of Kareem's team.
Yeah, and I like the comparison you made earlier with the Jumpluff with the Amoonguss. I think that a lot of times people overlook Pokemon like Jumpluff because they are a lot less bulky relative to Pokemon like Amoonguss, but in a format where you're dealing with these huge, one-hit KOs almost everywhere, having the speed advantage can really be important, and sometimes Focus Sash is really all the bulk you need, as these trainers just trade sleep moves, Spore on one side of the field from the Smeargle and Sleep Powder from the Jumpluff.
Yeah, Necrozma just protecting itself, trying to find time for that Spore to sneak its way onto Groudon.
It's going to be tough.
Doesn't quite get it there. The Rage Powder wasn't there, so that was a close chance for it. But now Necrozma will have to attack, and we'd expect the Rage Powder to be back out.
Yeah, and if Spore connects with Jumpluff, because Jumpluff is a Grass-type Pokemon, it's not going to have any effect at all.
Right, and so it's very easy to Rage Powder that away and entirely negate it, right? Because unlike most of the other Spore users, Smeargle, not Grass-type itself, will still have to Rage Powder into that.
Oh, definitely.
Spore into that Rage Powder.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, again, this is just a really tough matchup for Kareem. I kind of wish we would have seen the Asalgar Tapu Lele combination for him as a lead, and I think the helping hand here into the Necrozma is going to be the best that he can do. But he really needs this Photon Geyser or whatever move he chooses to knock out this Jumpluff if he wants to stay in this game.
Sure, but this is a trade Gavin loves, right? You're trading
exactly
as long as Precipice Blades hits. You're trading Jumpluff for both Smeargle and Ultra Necrozma. You hope for that. You game plan for that. And that's exactly what Gavin gets out of it. And
the Groudon will connect both targets with the Precipice Blade. So just like that, Gavin has a 3-2 advantage against Kareem. Kareem down to his final 2 Pokemon in, game 2 of this series could potentially determine, whether or not he's moving on to Top Cut or whether or not he's walking home with top 16 points or, depending on how the Swiss Triangle plays out, maybe nothing at all. It's a rough matchup.
One big difference here. Last time we saw Groudon at full health,
we did,
and able to deal with the Tapu Lele fast Scarf Psychic because of that. This time, already low enough that even, we don't see the Tapu Fini, but even something like that, Heal Pulse was coming out, the Tapu Lele would have a chance to move first and KO this Groudon.
Yeah.
Makes it a little bit more difficult for these Precipice Blades to just come out cleanly because you have to worry about it, but Lunala is a really great option for getting the KO back onto Tapu Lele. It can't protect itself, it does have that Choice Scarf, and so it's very easy to prevent Groudon from going down this turn, make sure that Tapu Lele comes off the field this turn, and then just play against the other Groudon.
Yeah, and if Gavin does decide that he wants to switch in the Tapu Fini now, maybe to guarantee that the Psychic Terrain goes away, that's certainly something he can do as well. Tapu Fini is more than bulky enough to take an attack from this Groudon on Kareem's side of the field, as Gavin's own Groudon goes for a Protect, does not want to take Scarf Psychic this turn, but Tapu Lele smartly targeting down that Lunala with a Nature's Madness. It's going to outspeed, bring it down to exactly half of its health, break the Shadow Shield, but unfortunately for Kareem, it looks like that Lunala will have the opportunity to go for the menacing Moonrays Maelstroms.
Gavin really showing that he's prepared for these side spam options, right? This really kind of heavy offense requires that, we talked about it before in the previous match, that you are the aggressor the entire time and that you successfully take your KOs at every point, right? You need to be trading KOs and getting them cleanly. And as soon as you start missing a couple beats and not getting those KOs, things fall apart. And Gavin has played this matchup before, is prepared for it, knows how to force those beats to be missed using things like the jump bluff, and is able to take a clean advantage. Does still have to close out this game, but should be able to do it.
Yeah, Groudon with the Precipice Blades on Kareem's side of the field was able to pick up a KO with onto the opposing Lunala, and Gavin revealing his final Pokemon, leaving the Tapu Fini behind this time, instead sending in that Salamence, intimidating the Groudon, and I think really just locking things up, because this Groudon on Kareem's side, we know it's a physical Groudon. We know that its attacking options are probably Precipice Blades and Fire Punch, and I don't think he's going to be able to deal enough damage to just get that KO, to get the KOs where he needs
especially because he has to spend a turn KOing the Groudon first and assume he's faster before this.
Exactly.
We've been looking forward to the Salamence.
Yeah, I find it really interesting, though. Gavin going for the Z move into the Tapu Lele, even though, Moongeist Beam would have done super effective damage to it. I'm wondering if he was worried about the Tapu Lele maybe being on the bulkier side, or if that was just to guarantee the KO, without question.
I think it takes it pretty routinely, no matter how you train that Scarf Lele. It can take that Moongeist Beam, and so you just, at that point, you win the game if you get rid of the Tapu Lele. You can get rid of the Tapu Lele because nothing can stop it. So
there you go.
Just click the button and win your game. Move on to the top 8, and that's exactly what Gavin does. Yeah,
so another strong regional performance from Gavin, locking in that X-1 record and most likely locking in his position in Top Cut tomorrow. And, I'm really excited to see him kind of run forward with this team. Like we were talking about a little bit during, team preview at the beginning, the Jump Off Groudon combination is something that I feel like I haven't seen since like 2010, maybe.
Yeah,
Made an appearance in two.
I think Gavin's had some success with this team already in the Ultra Series. He's definitely played a lot with the Lunadon. That's the Lunala Groudon combination.
Really? I would have never guessed.
And so it's something he's comfortable with. It's something we've seen from quite a few players, where this late into the season, we're in the Post Worlds format, they found the restricted pair that they're comfortable with. For Gavin, that's Lunala Groudon. But we saw earlier from other players, their favorite pair that they've been playing with all season. For someone like Chemo, it's that Rayquaza Kyogre. For Joe, it's the Yveltal and Groudon. And so once they're comfortable with that, they can continue to play the team for multiple tournaments, get better and better at it, and then really learn these matchups. And you can see what happens when you learn a matchup really well. You easily take down this size spam team and kind of make it look very easy. Yeah, no, that definitely did look very easy, but I think that just goes to show you how skilled Gavin Michaels is as a player. Qualified for multiple world championships, 1 year won the entire state of California in terms of regional championships, and it's just someone you really have to be worried about going into Top Cut tomorrow. But shout outs to Kareem, very well played. I like the psychic spam adjustment that we're seeing from trainers as we enter in this twilight of the Ultra Series, if you will. And it's exciting to see sort of, these strategies that we might not see moving on in the future, because, who knows what kind of Pokemon we're going to have going forwards. Yeah, every year's different. You never know when this is the last time we might see all these unburdened Psychic Seed things and stuff. You never know. But I believe that's it for us here in terms of the Swiss rounds. Yeah, we'll do a little bit of close in just a minute, but that is the last match for today, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Yeah, again, if please stick around with us, but if you decide to go get some snacks or whatever, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, same channel, same place, we'll be here. And yeah, we will be back with the cut to announce who's in the top 8 and what those pairings will be. Yep, thanks everybody.